What if Emrakul was a human instead of a flying spaghetti monster? And what if we could cast it for free on turn 3? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be doing today with Mono White Hideaway in Modern. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known to Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Much Abrew About Nothing. And today we have a super spicy new Outlaws of Thunder Junction Modern deck. We are playing Mono White Hideaway, and this deck can do some ridiculous things. So let's talk about the deck, what it's trying to do, jump into a Modern League, see Mono White Hideaway in action. So we are built around two Hideaway cards. So one is Windbrisk Guides, one of the OG Hideaway cards. To cast that card that's in the way, we need to attack with at least 3 creatures. Then we got the new edition, really the card we're built around, in Collector's Cage. So Collector's Cage, 2-mana artifact, it hides away 5. So we get to exile one of the cards from the top 5 face down, and then we pay 1, tap it, put a counter on a creature we control, and if we have 3 creatures with different powers or more, then we get to play the card for free. So when I saw Collector's Cage, I realized, wait, this kind of wants the same thing as Windbrisk Guides. Windbrisk Guides needs 3 creatures and to attack with them. Collector's Cage needs 3 creatures but just different powers. So now we kind of have redundancy with this plan where both the cards kind of do the same thing. So the goal of our deck, in our dream world, we're going to be hiding away Emrakul the Eonstorm, just the biggest, baddest creature in the history of Magic, and maybe casting it like on turn 3 for free, which is kind of ridiculous. Worst case, we have a Myria's Call, which is kind of in our deck to be a land that we can pitch to Solitude for removal, but also makes 2 big angels. So for casting that on turn 3, it still kind of wins us the game. So those are the big hitters of the deck. So we're hoping to, in the early game, get down Windbrisk Guides, get down Collector's Cage, hide away an Emrakul or an Myria's Call, and then how do we turn these cards on? So I was trying to think, okay, we need a bunch of creatures on the battlefield, but we also need them to have different powers, and I realized there's really the perfect way to make this work, which is humans, because a Champion of the Parish. So Champion of the Parish is a human that's a 1-drop, so it's a creature that we get on the battlefield quickly, but then when another human enters the battlefield, it gets a counter. So this works in a really exciting way with Collector's Cage. So let's say we play turn 1 Champion of the Parish, turn 2 we can play Collector's Cage, on turn 3 our deck has a ton of 1-drops. So we got Champions, Warden of the Inner Sky, Esper Sentinel, Novice Inspector. If we can follow up with 2 more 1-drops, those are going to grow the Champion of the Parish. Then we can use Collector's Cage with our last mana to put a counter on one of the new 1-drops. That's going to give us a 3-power creature, a 2-power creature, a 1-power creature, and then an Emrakul, hopefully coming down on turn 3 by surprise out of our weird human deck. So that's the idea of the deck. Of course, the same kind of plan works with Windbrisk Guides, just playing a bunch of cheap creatures so we can attack and cast the card for free. Otherwise, Thalia's Lieutenant, kind of an expensive Champion of the Parish, Thalia Guardian of Thraben to slow down our opponent's spells, Adeline adds multiple bodies onto the battlefield. And one of the other sweet things about this deck is we can win without hiding things away. Like, the goal is to do this spectacular hideaway combo, but we can also just like play a bunch of humans and attack with them and sometimes win like a weird aggro deck. As far as the mana base, pretty straightforward. Mutavault can be a creature to help our plan. Otherwise, Cavern for counters, some card draw and Horizon Canopy. In the sideboard, a bunch of removal, and then a bunch of humans with jobs for specific matchups. Dawnbringer, Cleric to get rid of enchantments, Lauren gets rid of artifacts, Drannith Magistrate for Cascade and so forth, Sanctifier Invec for graveyards, Containment Priest for reanimation strategies, and that is Mono White Hideaway for Modern. That's our Much Abrew deck for today. So let's jump into some games and see if we can get a turn 3 Emrakul with the help of Collector's Cage. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/MTG Goldfish. It is Collector Cage time, although this hand doesn't have Collector's Cage, but it's pretty reasonable as a human hand. 1-drop, Thalia's Lieutenant, Solitude for removal, so I think we keep it. Hopefully we draw into the Collector's Cage and do something cool. About it, Reading Pool, untapped. And the Wildest of Nucuddles. Sure. Well, let's play Plains, and I think we just lead on Novice Inspector here. What do we do next turn is the real question. We'll see what we draw. Sacred Foundry for our opponent. Combat. Gonna 3 us. We will take it. I don't think we can afford to pitch Solitude. Pitch a card to Solitude to kill Nucuddle. We need to get something bigger and badder than that. Like a territorial Kavu, perhaps. Windbrisk Heights. Well, I mean, I think we have to kill this Kavu. How do we do it, though? So we can, like, Windbrisk Heights, Warden, tap everything to Scry, Solitude, pitch Thalia's Lieutenant. Well, that's Windbrisk Heights. I think that's the plan. Well, I guess Collector's Cage. Would have rather drawn that. And then we'll play the Warden of the Inner Sky. Tap, tap, tap. Plains definitely going to the bottom and pass the turn. We're kind of in an awkward position here. I'm pretty sure we have to kill this Kavu, but that means pitching pretty much our hand. Ugh. Yeah, well, Solitude. Get rid of the Kavu. We also put another Collector's Cage to the bottom, which is doubly obnoxious. Opponent hits us. Ooh, passing though, okay. We draw even more lands. Well, I think we play the Mutavault. Let's just crack the clue, see what we draw. Crack the clue. I mean, it's a creature at least. Well, go to combat. Do some attacking. Not gonna be blocking this turn anyway, so we might as well get in. Hit ya, down to 17. There is a world where we can Mutavault attack Windbrisk Heights into Collector's Cage into something big, like an Emrakul. Opponent hits us. Esper Sentinel. Well, okay. So I think it might be better to wait, because we can play a Thalia, Esper Sentinel, play a Plains, and then tap, 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 Scry, Thalia to the bottom. And now I think we actually stay on defense, because I am a little worried about like Tribal Flames effect, so we're going to stay back this turn. Next turn we can do the Collector's Cage thing, hopefully. All right, Territory Kavu, sure. Ooh, Thalia's Lieutenant. Ooh! So we can play the Cavern of Souls on human. So let's think about this. If we play Thalia's Lieutenant, and then we go attacking, so this is 2 mana to play Thalia's Lieutenant. Go attacking, we have to pay 1 mana to play the... Oh, yeah, we can't do everything. Oh, this is so interesting. This Collector's Cage, I'm so tempted to trigger it, but it's very risky. We can go attacking... Oh, it's probably smarter to wait again. Play Thalia's Lieutenant. Put counters on everything. This gives the Warden flying and vigilance. Actually, I think this is okay. We can go to combat. So it's this, tap this, play this. Oh, we can't activate the Collector's Cage. Get in with the Warden of the Inner Sky. Next turn. It's so risky because we don't know what we're going to hit off the Collector's Cage. We go 5 cards deep. If we hit like an Emrakul or something, we pretty much just win the game. On the other hand, if we don't, we pretty much just, we can just lose our board. The Warden's looking good here. Flying and Vigilance is nice, and it's even big enough to block the Kavu now. Are we attacking? No. All right, opponent passes. Let's see what we draw. Oh, we draw the cage. Okay, that's easy. 1, 2, 3. Now at least we know. Let's play the Collector's Cage. See if we can find the Emrakul. This could be the dream. Okay, gonna counter the cage, but we get to draw a card. It's a Champion of the Perished, sure. I'll play Horizon Canopy. Champion of the Perished. Tap. Well, we're definitely keeping Solitude. Go to combat, 5 ya. Wow, this Warden's popping off. I mean, it is helping that our opponent is unable to draw land number 3. That is certainly assisting here. Did we have lethal if we swung out? Oh god. Probably. Well, why win today when you can win a turn in the future? So opponent, playing the Domain deck, which I think means, as much as this card kinda sucks, we might need this to blow up the ley line. Dawnbringer Chariot seems good. Sanctifier and Vec. I guess it has pro everything if our opponent has a ley line. We could also bring in the Lauren. The problem is, if they don't have the ley line, it gets a lot worse. What are we cutting is the other question. Thalia is kind of like medium, I think. Our opponent's kind of a creature deck. We can go down the Thalias, maybe trim like an Inspector. Well, that worked. We never got to see the Collector Cage pop off though, unfortunately, that game. Yeah, we probably need the Lauren too. And maybe go down another Esper Sentinel. What about Dismember? We might actually just need Dismembers too. Maybe we go Dismember, go down in Adeline and one more Sentinel. Yeah, let's try it like that. Get a bit more removal, get a way to answer the ley line. We got lucky that our opponent, well, we got double lucky. Our opponent didn't hit their lands and also didn't have ley line. Their deck is a lot scarier if it's got ley line. Well, this hand has no lands. Could turn on Collector's Cage pretty quick, but Not without the manas. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to mulligan this one. Collector's Cage, such a cool card. I'm actually thinking Collector's Cage is pretty good in this deck. I don't know if the Emrakuls are necessary or not. We can put the Emrakul to the bottom, which is good. I mean, we got a bunch of removal, and we have an answer to the ley line, which opponent apparently does not have. Opponent Wooded Foothills. Well, let's lead on Windbrisk Kites and find a, I guess, Thalia's Lieutenant out of those options is the most exciting. Deck usually has leyline binding too, so we probably find a target for this Dawnbringer. Worst case, I guess we can pitch it to Solitude if we need to. Or a March. We have a lot of things that can pitch at the moment. We have the March too. Getting their fetch, getting their Triome, getting things set up for domain shenanigans. There's the Kavu. We draw a Plains. Well, play the Plains. Do we just have to take this hit? It hurts. Actually, let's play let's play Novice Inspector. Get a clue. Oh, this feels bad, but I think we just pitch this Dawnbringer. Pitch the Dawnbringer. Get rid of the Kavu. So threat 1 dealt with. We did have to pitch a card for it, but there's no leyline of the Guild Pack on the battlefield, and it's a lot harder to get down if you gotta cast it, so hopefully that's okay. Opponent, Windswept Heathcraft. I guess flooding out and getting to Solitude is not the end of the world. Opponent, another Triome. And there's the Sign of Draco. And Champion of the Perished. Let's draw a card. Play a Plains. Champion of the Perished. And we can leave up the Solitude if we need to cast it. We kind of would rather not, but we might just have to. Hits us for 4. I mean, I think we can take 4 here. If it's just 4. Down to 16. There's still a world where we just draw lands and hardcast Solitude. Not that we want to draw 2 more lands, but Fable of the Miabrega. Well, that would have been a good target for the Dawnbringer Chariot. Opponent passes. We draw a land. Well, let's... are we just giving up on Solitude? Let's Warden of the Inner Sky. Grow the Champion of the Perished. Tap, tap, tap. Dismember on top. Ooh. I think Dismember's got to go to the bottom. Play the land. We do have Windbrisk Kites turned on. The problem is, it's turned on for a Thalia's Lieutenant, not an Emrakul. Discards a couple cards. I think we're going to try to kill the Goblin here. All right, Goblin down. I mean, so I guess we're kind of in an okay position. If we draw land, it's good. If we don't draw land, I mean, if we draw an untapped land, it's good. If we don't draw land, then I guess we can go back to pitching Solitude because it's going to be a white card opponent. Tap land. I wonder if they kill something to keep the Windbrisk Kites from turning on. Looks like yes. Going to kill the Warden. Champion of the Perished. The lower we go, the more likely we are to get got by a Tribal Flames. Well, that's Champion of the Perished. I'm not sure we can win this race, though. Hit ya. I think we gotta chance it. Opponent down to 12. Opponent gonna flip. It's so awkward when you get to 4 mana with the Solitude. Meddling Mage. Oh no, do they name Solitude? They saw Solitude last game. All right. That's not great. Opponent gonna get in with the Sign of Draco. Well, there goes our big removal spell plan. And opponent, Tribal Flames us down to 3. Novice Inspector. Well, we will play a Novice Inspector, get some triggers and a clue, and go to combat, do some attacking. Yeah, this leaves us dead. Ha! Well, we did the hideaway thing. It's just not good enough. Our opponent wisely did some blocking. We get the Thalia's Lieutenant, which honestly, if our opponent hadn't blocked, would have been enough. But now we just die to the Scion attacks. And we can't cast... Never got to the Solitude. I wonder if we could have done something differently there. Maybe we should have just been more aggressive with answering the Scion of Draco. We waited and waited and waited. Maybe it would have been better just to fire it off and hope for the best. Wasn't really expecting Meddling Mage. That's not a card these decks usually play, so I wasn't expecting Meddling Mage to shut off the possibility of Solitude. Worked out pretty good for our opponent there. I mean, I think we're just running it back here. We get to be on the play, which is nice. We need a big Collector's Cage game. We need one of those games where we just pop off and see the Emrakul. I don't know if they have the lane line start. I don't know if we beat the lane line. Well, that is scary. Well, we'll play Windbrisk Kites. Hideaway a Amiria's Call. Yeah, the problem now is if they have Sign of Draco, everything's going to have hexproof, and we just are not going to be able to beat it. Getting rid of one of them is possible. Getting rid of 2 is not especially possible. Thalia's Lieutenant, since it's more efficient. Wouldn't mind hitting a land. These Solitudes are not going to do much against ley lines if they have... We just gotta hope they don't have the Sign of Draco. Wow, maybe they don't have a land. Oh, can we draw land? So Windbrisk Guides. Not the land we want, but maybe the one we deserve. All right. Well, Windbrisk Guides. Hideaway Emrakul. Another Amiria's Call. And we will, I guess, play another Thalia's Lieutenant. Get some triggers. Kind of awkward that we didn't play the Champion of the Parish. Well, go attacking. See if you got the bolt. Oh, they have a Leyline Binding. Okay. In all colors, Leyline Binding. Oh, we just gotta hope they don't draw land then, I guess, is kind of where we're at. We draw a Cavern. Well, play Cavern on Human. Collector's Cage. Nothing of note. Well, I guess it's a Novice Inspector. That is kind of a whiff. Well, play the Champion of the Parish. Grow the Thalia's Lieutenant. Get in for 2. Maybe we should just put a counter on that, I guess. Get an extra damage. There is a world where we can Collector's Cage. The problem is we're just Collector's Caging a Novice Inspector. Wow, opponent not hitting the land. All right, well, what do we draw? Oh my god, I forgot the Collector's Cage again. Opponent. Going after the Thalia's Lieutenant. All right, well, we will put a counter on the Champion. Hit you for 2. The thing is, they're going to draw land eventually. It is going to happen. Opponent untaps. We draw an Emrakul that we'd much rather have under that Collector's Cage. Well, we'll go to combat. What an awkward game this is. Get in with the Champion of the Parish. Collector's Cage. Counter. Down to 13 temporarily. Yeah, Emrakul is the deadest of draws. Did they draw the land? No. But they have another Leyline Binding. Going after the Champion of the Parish. Let's draw some action. Well, Novice Inspector. Okay, that's better than nothing. So we get a Novice Inspector. We can sack the clue to draw a card. Play the Plains, and yeah, I guess we start putting counters on things. We've gotten to the point where we can start hard-casting Solitudes. They just don't do anything against Scion. There's the land. This was the concern. Yeah, there's a Sign of Draco. Man, I think we're gonna end up losing. We draw another Collector's Cage, so play the Collector's Cage. Hideaway. There's the Emrakul. Well, counter on the Novice Inspector. Counter on the Novice Inspector. Hit ya. Okay, so there is a world where we can do this. We need to draw a white card to pitch to Solitude. Tribal Flames. Oh, okay. Hits us, gains back a bunch of life. We draw Adeline. Well, we will play an Adeline. And pass the turn. Adeline also gives us a shot if we can get it to live. I think we actually put counters on it now. Tribal Flame's a sorcery. All right, we will pass. All right, we're back to having a shot because of the Solitude trick. Territorial Kavu. Okay, that's actually okay. And oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna win with Collector's Cage. Oh my god, we're gonna do it. Hits us, but that's fine because we have Emrakul coming. We put a counter on the Adeline. This is convoluted, but it'll work. So we get to untap. We draw Windbrisk Heights. I mean, I guess we might as well play it. Play the Windbrisk Heights. Hide something away. We'll take, I guess, another Solitude. Okay, this is gonna be actually kind of hilarious. So what we have to do is we have to go to combat. We need stop set everywhere. We attack with Adeline to get a 1/1. And now we evoke a Solitude, pitching a Solitude, just to get a different powered creature on the battlefield. So with these triggers on the stack, we can now Collector Cage the Adeline, cast the Novice Inspector, get a clue. More importantly, Collector Cage the Adeline, get an Emrakul. It is cast, so we get the extra turn. It worked! We got it to work. Emrakul, it's a human now. Surprise! Oh, so we get an extra turn. Solitude, can't really exile anything. It goes to the graveyard, but its job is done. We do get a little blown out because of first strike here. So they do get to kill the Adeline. Wow, they're not going to kill the token? Interesting. That lets us turn on our Windbrisk Heights too. All right, so opponent gains a bunch of life. Their big issue is, though, this Emrakul. We will crack our clue. Oh, wow. The Hideaway plan is actually going to win us this game. We draw Dismember, doesn't do anything yet. Well, we will go to our extra turn, thanks to Emrakul. We draw Thalia's Lieutenant. Well, we'll go to combat. Let's see what our opponent does. Annihilate. So sack 6 opponent. They have to keep the Leyline Binding or the game's over. So I have to keep at least one of these. The other problem for our opponent is we're gonna unleash all these Windbrisk Guides. Yeah, opponent, this is a tough choice. Wow. Well, it wasn't a turn 3 Emrakul, but we would not have won this game was it not for Collector Cage Emrakul. Like, it is actually kind of the dream scenario. Finally coming together for it to get the win. Opponent's gonna sack a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the last one? The last one's tough. Kavu? They're gonna sack all the Leyline Binding. So we get... Unfortunately, we still can't use our Solitudes on our opponent's stuff, although it is worth mentioning, we can Solitude our own stuff to gain life if it came down to it, so we could get some value out of it. Our board has gotten impressive. All right, opponent. We also do get to make our team indestructible here, so we're gonna Black Novice Inspect. Oh, wait. So we can Collector Cage this and kill the Scion? Collector Cage, actually, is this color? Oh, all right, hang on. We should use a Cavern for this. Collector Cage this. So we kill the Scion, and then we also get to Windbrisk Guides. Oh, we're popping off. Amiria's Call. And then Windbrisk Guides. And opponent scoops it up. And that is Emrakul Collector Cage coming down to steal a game we otherwise had literally no business of winning. I mean, so our opponent kept a risky hand, right? They kept the combo, Leyline Scion and Draco, but only one land. They didn't draw the land right away, so that bought us some time to get things set up, which was fortunate. But they finally got it set up, and Scion plus double Leyline with a board of other stuff is kind of unbeatable. Lifelink, First Strike. However, there is one thing in Magic that is more powerful than Scion and Draco Leyline, which is apparently Emrakul the Eon's Torn coming out of a Collector's Cage. Oh, living the dream. Sweet, sweet. Much brew about nothing time. We are playing some Mono White Hideaway, and my god, do we have a lot of Collector's Cages. So there's a few more Collector's Cages than we actually really want. I guess we can pitch one to the Solitude at least. However, Collector's Cage is the way that we can do our most explosive thing, so we'll see. Dark Slake Shores for our opponent, and gonna do some passing. Okay, well, let's Amiria's Call, untapped, and Esper Sentinel. Novice Inspector is actually a pretty good draw. That is a body on the battlefield. For Collector's Cage, we need 3 with different power. Opponent, Watery Grave, tapped, passes. Well, play Mutavault, get in with the Sentinel. I think it makes most sense just to get down the Collector's Cage. If our opponent wants to counter, they theoretically are going to let us draw a card. All right, so opponent's going to force a negation. That's actually kind of fine. They force a negation, pitching force a negation, and paying the 1. But this puts our opponent down 2 cards. They only have 2 cards in hand. We still have Esper Sentinel. We have multiple Collector's Cages still to come. Finds an Orcish Bowmaster. Sure. Wouldn't mind drawing another white source. That'd be sweet. All right, so they managed to kill the Esper Sentinel. Passing. Land, please. Another Novice Inspector. Well, yeah, I mean, you gotta play the Novice Inspector. Not exciting, but it's what we gotta do. Make a clue. This Mutavault is annoying us at the moment. Yeah, we really need to be able to get more bodies on the battlefield. Although the Inspector does block the Bowmaster pretty well. Passes. All right, land, white, untapped. All right, that's a plane. So we can play the planes. We can play a Novice Inspector. Make a clue. And play a Collector's Cage. Well, let's see if we got another force. All right, we'll have to settle for an Amiria's Call. Amiria's Call is a good backup, though. It is a good backup. No attacks. If our opponent goes for some wheel combo, we can Solitude the Bowmaster. And we get to start putting counters on things with Collector's Cage, which is nice. We draw a Solitude. Technically, there's a way we can do the thing with the Solitude. I don't know if it's worth it though. We could evoke Solitude with Solitude on the stack, activate the Mutavault, and then activate the Collector's Cage. Our opponent could still fizzle it with removal though. All right, let's play a Novice Inspector. All right, opponent's going to Subtlety, going down to 1 card in hand. And last card is Essence Flux. Let's see if we can do this correctly. So we Solitude, pitching a Collector's Cage. Solitude ETBs. So now I have a 1, and a 3. Oh! Opponent scoops it up! up. Oh, we didn't get to see the Collector's Cage. So what we could do there is before Solitude sacks itself, Collector's Cage, counter on the Novice Inspector, cast the Miria's Call, win the game? Okay, so it worked. We never get to see the Hideaway card cast, but it did work. The plan worked. So opponent's playing Dimir Control, I guess? Sanctifier, probably. Sanctifier seems good, and we might need the Dismembers, maybe something like that. What do we cut is the other question. So our opponent is a Orcish Bowmaster deck, so I think we go down a couple Esper Sentinels. Maybe like one Adelead, maybe like one Thalia, and you know what, let's go one Esper Sentinel. Let's try it like that. Heavier on the 2-drop, so we're going to be a little less explosive with Collector's Cage, but we also have minimized the number of cards that die to Bowmaster, which is, I think, helpful here. All right, a little land heavy, but we have Warden into Thalia's Lieutenant and Collector's Cage and a Novice Inspector, well, Cavern on Human. In that case, I think we just play Novice Inspector. The next turn, we can play Warden and tap everything if we want to grow it. And then we can Thalia's Lieutenant, Collector Cage. All right, we got a plan. Whether or not it works, that's another question, but we got a plan. Opponent, Atwara and Satoru. All right, so that might have to die. Emrakul, not the best draw. Let's play the land. I guess just play a Thalia's Lieutenant uncounterably. Put the counters on the dorks. If our opponent starts to pop off with the Satoru, we're going to have to try to Solitude it. The problem is if we try to Solitude it now, they can just Subtlety and draw a card, which is pretty bad. So Satoru, non-token ET being without spending mana on it or being cast. Then you get to draw a card. Opponent getting in with Satoru. Sure, if you're ninjutsuing, that's fine. Opponent hits us, down to 18. Fatal push the Thalia's Lieutenant, okay. Well, we untap. Opponent, Mr. Land Drop. Ooh, Esper Sentinel. I mean, let's Horizon Canopy. Let's play Collector's Cage. See what our opponent does. Collector's Cage. Can we hide away something good? Also, mostly no. I guess Solitude's probably better. 1, 2, 3. Tap, tap, tap. Grow it. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Keep it on top. Go to combat. Hit ya. I mean, this does set us up to do the thing next turn. Essence Flux. Well, I mean, all right, we gotta go for it. Solitude? Oh, okay, no subtlety. That is pretty big. Oh, we dodged. Hit you down to 20. We can still do the thing next turn, as long as none of our creatures die with the Novice Inspector. Although all we're getting is Solitude, which isn't like game ending. All right, opponent's gonna kill the Warden. We get another Novice Inspector. I guess we just sack a clue, draw a card? A Miria's Call. Ouch, untapped. Yeah, I mean, let's start growing this Novice Inspector. So we need another creature, and we get a Solitude for free. It would be much better if it was an Emrakul. Hopefully your opponent thought seizes us. Bounty, Watery Grave untapped, down to 15. Cryptic Coat, sure. Oh god, okay, well, when I said creature, I was kind of meaning not Emrakul. A non-Emrakul creature. Well, let's crack our clue. Draw Solitude that we can't currently cast. Yeah, drawing the Emrakul is kind of clunky, actually, isn't it? Hit you with the Novice Inspector. Takes it. Down to 12. Well, we will pass. So we can't block this, although we are kind of winning the race. Gets in, hits us. Sure. Well, let's put a counter on the Novice Inspector. Well, that's a Plains. Play the Plains. Go to combat. Oh, do we put a counter on things? Putting counters on things means we have a 2-turn clock, but it means we can't Solitude. I think we leave up the Solitude. I mean, we can't Solitude the cloak creature anyway because of Ward. But we can Solitude something else. Worst case, we will just run it out. All right, they're going to bounce the Cryptic Coat. I mean, we will just run it out. If we can't kill something, that's fine. It's still a body that will help with the Collector's Cage. Opponent combat. Going to stay attacking. Hits us. Sure. Down to 8. Cryptic Coat returns. Man, I wish this Emrakul was under this Collector's Cage. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's cast a Solitude. Opponent's going to Subtlety it, pitching an Essence Flux. Has another Essence Flux to blink it. Okay. I guess we put it on top, right? We put it on top, we draw it. 1, 2, 3, 4, ouch, and 5, we cast a Solitude to get rid of the subtlety. Go attacking. Back down to 5. I mean, we're not dead on board. Opponent only has 1 card in hand. And we might finally turn on the Collector's Cage. Well, let's see. Can you get in that last point of damage? Opponent combat. The problem is Bowmaster, really. Because of Bowmaster, I think we actually have to block this thing. Yeah, it hurts, but I think we have to. Otherwise, we just die to Bowmaster, and I don't think we want to leave ourselves dead to Bowmaster. Opponent passes. Creature. Creature for the Collector Cage. Thalia, that is a creature, but it doesn't turn on Collector Cage. Sack Horizon Canopy, draw a card. Gonna run out of Bowmaster. Wow. All right, so opponent did have the Bowmaster. We draw a card. They can ping the Inspector. Well, 1, 2. Sanctifier. Uncounterably. Exile a bunch of stuff. Attack with just the big Inspector. Unfortunately, we can't Collector's Cage currently. Our powers do not line up properly. To 2. We pass the turn. Opponent. Gonna bounce the coat. Sure. That's actually good for us because it means that this thing's not unblockable anymore. This has been a very interesting close game. Cryptic Coat returns. Opponent's gonna pass. Well, grow the Sanctifier. Ooh, draw Solitude. I mean, I guess we just swing out. Go to combat. We gotta go for it. Go to combat, attack with everything. Blocks. Okay, so we will Collector's Cage, put a counter on the Sanctifier. Cast the Solitude. Snipe the... Ah! It worked! It was not the Emrakul Dream. It was not the Emrakul Dream, but we hit away to victory. It actually worked. All right, Collector's Cage. Paying off, opponent, just a couple of lands face down. Well, so we didn't have the Explosive Dream draw, and awkwardly we drew all of our Emrakuls rather than cheating them into play, but Collector's Cage kind of paying off. Much Brew But Nothing time. We are playing some Mono White Hideaway in Modern. Do we keep lots of lands? But yeah, I think that's fine. Because one of the lands is Horizon Canopy. It makes it a little better. No Collector's Cage, unfortunately. But, well, let's Champion of the Parish. Go. I think we wait on the Windbrisk Kites, get down a couple of bodies first. We want to keep the upside of drawing Collector's Cage live. Opponent passes. We draw a Solitude, which isn't the worst. Let's play the Plains and run out of Thalia. See if our opponent has removal. All right, not yet. Well, grow the Champion of the Parish. Get in for 2. I mean, technically, we're 1 creature away from Windbrisk Kitesing. We'll see what we can hide away. So the 2 big hits, Amiria's Call, and of course, Emrakul, the biggest and baddest of the bunch. Opponent, gonna crack the Wooded Foothills. All right, gonna bolt the Thalia, sure. Another Amiria's Call, not the best. Well, let's Windbrisk Kites. See what we can hide away here. Well, there's an Emrakul. Oh, those 2 Novus Inspectors would have been so nice. Well, get in and hit ya. All right, well, now we need to get 2 creatures on the battlefield and attack with them before we die. Ren and 6. Okay, well, at least it can't kill the Champion of the Parish. It can kill some of our other stuff. Gets back the Wooded Foothills. Plays the Wooded Foothills. Come on, deck. Action. We need action. It's a land. Well, play the Plains. Go to combat. I guess the Ren. I mean, at this point, we're flooding out to such an extent that we might as well try to hardcast a Solitude. I mean, this hand, with how much we flooded, we might be hardcasting Amiria's Calls. I don't know if we're going to live that long. I feel like we might be getting Indomitable Creativity here now-ish. And if so, we probably lose. Opponent, Wooded Foothills. To Fairy Time Reveler. Okay, that's annoying. And gonna bounce the Champion of the Parish. This is a few too many lands. Just a few. Just a few. There's a Warden of the Inner Sky. Well, play Horizon Canopy. Play Champion of the Parish. Warden of the Inner Sky. Crack the Horizon Canopy. See if we can draw 1-drop. Another Windbrisk Kites. All right, well, pass the turn. Yeah, I feel like it's slipping away here. Getting the 3rd creature on the battlefield is proving to be a challenge with the amount of lands we've drawn. I mean, technically we've drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of our, 20 lands? All right, here comes the game ender. 8 of our 21 lands. So yeah, that is a really high rate for what we got going on here. Opponent takes up the Teferi, cracks the Wooded Foothills. I mean, the problem now is they can do their thing doubly, and we really can't stop it and the game ends. Assuming they do have the Indomitable Creativity. I mean, we can eventually try to Solitude the Archon, but it's just going to be a little bit too late. Would you like to win the game? Opponent decides, yes, they would like to win the game. Emrakul, Archon, and we will scoop it up. Flooding does seem to be an issue. What do we have that's good against what our opponent's doing? Honestly, pretty much nothing. I mean, I guess Containment Priest. Containment Priest is something. Maybe go down like a Solitude and maybe an Adeline. So less lands, please, Magic Gods. And maybe a Collector's Cage. I mean, our deck did what we wanted it to do. The only problem is we just drew... Well, I mean, technically that is less lands and more Collector's Cages, except this time we can't even actually cast anything. All right, well, this looks familiar. We will put a Solitude to the bottom, Caverner of Souls on human, and Champion of the Perished. Passes. Another land, okay. Sure. Yeah, let's just play a Plains. Play a Thalia. And get in with the Champion of the Perished. I mean, we're slowing our opponent down a bit. We can Windbrisk Kites next turn. I mean, they gotta spend 2 mana to kill something thanks to Thalia, which is good. Sacred Foundry, sure. Untapped. Down to 15. And kills the Thalia. Yep. Well, that looks familiar. Passes. We draw. Well, there's a Collector's Cage. Play a Ganjo Castle. Play a Champion of the Perished. Grow the Champion of the Parish. Play Collector's Cage. Well, I guess the Thalia's Lieutenant. Not the dream. At least we put 3 lands to the bottom, which is something. Hitch ya. Unfortunately, this champion's a 1/1, so it does die to a Wren. So, I mean, Thalia's Lieutenant's not that great. Not the Emrakul. Going after the Cage. Sure. Come on, action. Please. Adeline. Oh, that's actually action. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Adeline, uncounterable. That was a pretty good draw. Grow the dorks. Grow the dorks. Grow the dorks. Grow the dorks. I mean, opponent's low on life. Does this get them low enough they can't fetch? Not quite. To 2. Windbrisk Kites. Hard whiff. Take a Novice Inspector. At least we got some lands out of the way. All right, well, it comes down to this. Opponent, they have the Dwarven Mine. Does it win them the game, though? Do we just win through an Archon? I think. We definitely win through an Emrakul. All right, creativity. Into. Well, we'll sack. Opponent goes up to 5. But isn't this still just very lethal? Warden of the Inner Sky. Well, I mean, we will just go to combat. Swing. I mean, this is just game, right? Swing with everything. Make a token. Trigger Windbrisk Kites, or set up Windbrisk Kites. And opponent scoops it up. Okay. Well, we didn't get to do the hideaway thing. I mean, we hid things away. We didn't get to cast the hideaway thing, but we did survive. Is it possible we win through a creativity? Like, should we be keeping a... maybe we go down like Warden and keep the Solitude. I feel like on the draw, it's going to be a lot harder for us to just run our opponent over. Yeah, we'll keep the third one. I was thinking about bringing back in the Adeline, but let's try it like that. All right, on the draw. We got to win with it, though. We got to win. Champion of the Parish. Growing its way to victory. We'd like to get down this Thalia, but we have the Windbrisk Kites. Well, we'll see what we draw. Opponent, I'm gonna start with a Surveil land. I mean, we have a lot of creatures this game, which is good. Amiria's Call, Cavern, on human. We got a lead on champion. It's kind of a bummer because on the draw, they can just play Wren and snipe it, but I think we still have to take that chance because if they don't have the Wren, that works out really well for us. Opponent, gonna pass. We draw another Cavern. Well, Cavern on human, and we can Esper Sentinel into Novice Inspector, wait till next turn for the Thalia. I imagine they could easily have the bolt. Every time we've done this, they've just bolted the Thalia. Let's stick with it. Let's play Thalia. Uncounterably. Grow the champion. Did they finally not have a bolt? They did mulligan this game. Wooded Foothills for a Sacred Foundry. Untap down to 15. All right, they always have that bolt every time. All right, opponent has the bolt. At least they're down to 15. That's something. Containment Priest would be a really good draw. Let's play Esper Sentinel, uncounterably. Oh, they're gonna kill the champion. All right, opponent gets a tap land and has Leyline Binding. Well, there goes the champion. So we get an Esper Sentinel. We can play a Novice Inspector. Get a clue. Play Windbrisk Guides. Hideaway in Emrakul. Oh, past the turn. So we need a creature? And I guess, well, we kind of have a white source and a Miria's Call. But we do need a white source to activate this with Double Cavern. Can they do the thing? I mean, they can't always do the thing. Oh, boy. There's a fetch. There's the cracking of the fetch. Gets the Dwarven Mine. I mean, we do have the Solitude, right? So if they just go for it, we can fizzle it. All right, so we get to draw a card. It's a plane. So let's Solitude, pitching a Miria's Call to snipe the token. Okay, this kind of worked out. So token down, fizzle the creativity. Opponent's only got 2 cards in hand. Wait, is this happening? Is this happening? Can we draw a creature, please? Another Solitude. Well, 1, 2, crack the clue. Adeline that we can't cast yet. Well, play the land, hit you. Oh, so close. All right, that's annoying. That can snipe the Esper Sentinel. Sure. I mean, I imagine they're sniping it. Yeah, gonna snipe the Esper Sentinel. Well, in Adeline we trust. Thalia's Lieutenant. 1, 2, 3. I mean, we gotta play the Adeline. Uncounterably. Attack the Ren. Get a token. I mean, this means our opponent needs to kill a creature, right? We have 3 creatures. We have Emrakul under Windbrisk Guides. The Hideaway plan could pay off. If our opponent does not have removal, they're in for a big surprise next turn. We have a Solitude if our opponent tries to go for creativity again. Oh, temporary locked out. Okay. Yup. So that means we don't have enough creatures yet. Bloodstained Mire. Passing. Opponent is really avoiding this Emrakul. Warden of the Inner Sky. Well, let's play Warden of the Inner Sky. Counters on the dorks. Go to combat. Hit ya. Make a token. Grow the dorks. Back up to 4 creatures. Opponent's down to 6. Are we gonna take down Indomitable Creativity? Is it happening? Cracks it. Watch their last card be another creativity. Oh, there's a Dwarven Mine. We can only stop one of them. Opponent cracks. We can only stop one of them, but we have our own Emrakul. So I think even if they creativity, I think we survive. Opponent. Because of the Hideaway. I think the Hideaway lets us steal it. I mean, they gotta be going for it, right? What else makes sense here? Indomitable Creativity X2. We got punished. We got punished for our greed. So... yeah, we lose now. So what I was thinking there is we could kill a token in response, which would be the correct play, right? Like, our opponent only gains 1 life instead of us killing their other thing. But the problem is, if we kill the token in response, we just leave our opponent dead on board if they hit an Archon or an Emrakul or anything like that. And then we don't get to hide away the Emrakul and show off what our deck's tried to do. So I was thinking, yeah, we're going to wait until they hit the Archon. We'll just kill the Archon. They'll gain a bunch of life, but whatever. We Emrakul them and win with Emrakul. And we get to show off the deck. Little did we know, our opponent's playing Elish Norn in Iona, and Iona is now on white, and there's no possible way we can win now. So I guess that's the punishment for trying to do the cool thing instead of just doing the optimal thing. It is Collector's Cage time. Ooh, all right. Well, that's a Collector's Cage. This hand's actually kind of spicy. Novice, I mean, we need our stuff to live because we got a bunch of lands, but Novice Inspector into Cage into Adeline. Can we find an Emrakul? Can we do the thing? Plains and Novice Inspector. See what our opponent's up to. Sharkcaster Mage. Affinity, eh? Springleaf Drum. Sure. And passes. I guess Mutavault's the biggest upside. Let's play Mutavault. Big money. Big money, Collector's Cage. Show us an Emrakul, please. I guess we settle for a Solitude. I'll get in with the Novice Inspector. Eventually, we'll get another shot with this Windbrisk Guides, maybe. Well, let's see what the follow-up is for our opponent. I wonder if they're playing some of the busted new big score artifacts. Simulacrum, maybe? Opponent, Mistvault Bridge, and passes. Well, let's play the land. run out Adolene, get in with the Novice Inspector, get a token. This is nice because it will turn on the Collector's Cage. It's only a Solitude, which is still good, but only a Solitude, not an Emrakul, so it's not just game over. But if our opponent finds an Urza or something, we do have an answer to it. Opponent, Urza Saga. Ah, there's the Simulacrum Synthesizer. Okay. So whenever our opponent plays an artifact mana value 3 or greater, they make a construct, which is a issue because they have a lot of artifacts. Do they have like, oh god, they have a Frogmite. Okay. Well, they might just pop off here. Makes the construct, gets the Frogmite, passes. Well, let's see what we can do. We draw another Solitude. Well, let's play the Windbrisk Heights. We really need to find this Emrakul. We need to find the Emrakul. Come on. Ah, there it is. So potential Emrakul for next turn is huge. For this turn, play Esper Sentinel. Attack, make a token. Collector's Cage on the Esper Sentinel. Cast the Solitude to get rid of the construct. Wow, opponent's just going to take it. All right, opponent down to 15 temporarily. I mean, the big one is this Emrakul chilling under the Windbrisk Heights. We should be able to do it next turn. I mean, that's the thing about Collector's Cage that's impressing me more and more. Yes, when we get the Emrakul and win, it's awesome. But even when we don't, it's still like a free Solitude's pretty nice. Opponent, Satoru. Oh, well, this might be game. Play a land. So they can make a construct, right? I don't know if any of this actually matters. Let's go to combat. So big attack. Adolene makes a token. I mean, the problem for our opponent is this Emrakul. We got a little surprise hiding out under those Windbrisk Guides. So opponent's gonna make the construct. Sure, yeah, that's a big one. So I think we just let our opponent block. They're gonna block and block. So we get rid of the Frogmite, and then we can do this as long as we attack. So we can do it post combat. But this is just game, right? So Windbrisk Heights. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what, opponent? Surprise! And opponent scoops it up. I can't believe how well this is working. Maybe Hideaway's back. Hideaway just might actually be back. Well, we get a Lauren. I wish we had a Stony Silence, but we don't. I guess March can come in because that can kill an artifact. Yeah, this is actually like sketchy. Containment Priest doesn't do anything. Dawnbringer only gets enchantments. I don't really want to bring in Dismember, I don't think. We just gotta Emrakul him. Easy. Easy breezy. Emrakul. I guess we can go down like a Warden maybe, and I feel like the Thalia is actually pretty decent-ish. Decent enough. Let's go down 2 Wardens, run it like that. The deck's working better than I thought. It's working better than I thought. It is, I mean, I thought it was gonna be super janky. Turns out it's just a little janky, but actually like kind of good. Wow, that's a lot of Windbrisk Heights. I mean, that might be a good thing, assuming they find Emrakuls. I mean, we're gonna keep. The Affinity deck shouldn't have that many ways of interacting. Darksteel Citadel. Springleaf Drum. You got an Ornithopter, got a Memnite for the explosive start. Well, we will Windbrisk Heights and find a Emrakul. Okay, yeah, that seems good. Not bad, as they say. Darksleep Shores for our opponent. There's the Memnite. Well, opponent's off to a much faster start. All right, so opponent's off to a really fast start. Perhaps too fast of a start. If they can follow this up with a Frogmite and make a construct, even this Emrakul might not be enough to save us. Oh, they have it. My goodness. Well, okay, so opponent has their Live the Dream start here. Amiria's Call. Well, we will play a Horizon Canopy and guess just play a Thalia? Although I'm not convinced this is going to be enough. I don't know if we can live long enough to even cast the Emrakul with. I mean, turn 2 Synthesizer plus Frogmite is absurd. That is an oh my god. All right. Well, our opponent is living the dream. Yeah, we're just dead. Well, cool to see Synthesizer popping off. Not cool because our deck is doing its thing and it's just not gonna, yeah, all right, sure. Sure, Simulacrum Synthesizer. Well, I mean, that was, I think, about as good as our opponent's draws can be. I don't think it gets much better than that for our opponent's deck. If there's a bit of good news, wow, that was disappointing because we actually had the Emrakul hidden away and the hand to do it. Our opponent just, I mean, that was an absurd draw. They had at least three constructs. They had one on turn 2, 2 more on turn 3. They were all 10/10s. Like, how do you beat that ever? We got to keep this. We got to keep it. Having an Emrakul in hand sucks. We do have Lauren, and our deck does not have a lot of ways to blow up an artifact. This is one of the only ways that we can just cleanly answer a synthesizer, so I think we have to keep it just because of that. The real question is, Champion of the Parish for more power, Esper Sentinel because it's pretty likely to draw us a card on turn 1. I do wish the Emrakul was not in our hand though. That's one less Emrakul for Windbrisk Guides and Collector's Cage. But if you think of it as a Molda 6, we would keep this 6. And I'm not convinced our 6 would be better than this because Lauren is just so valuable. I think we go card draw. Let's go Cavern on Human. Play Esper Sentinel. The next turn we can Windbrisk Kites, and then that leaves Lauren for the following turn to answer a synthesizer. And it seems like we might get to draw a card. All right, Memnite, sure. About it, I'm gonna pass. March of Otherworldly Light. Well, that's another answer. I don't know if we want to answer the Memnite. I think we just, let's Windbrisk Kites. Emrakul? No. So we will take a Thalios Lieutenant, which is fine. Play a Champion of the Perished. Pass the turn. This can actually exile the land, can it? Artifact, creature, enchantment, land. Or not land. Artifact, creature, enchantment. But these lands are artifacts. Opponent, Spring Leaf Drum. Are we paying the 1? Looks like yes. Pithing Needle. Oh, they're going to go after the Windbrisk Kites, I assume. Name's Windbrisk Kites. Cut Shots, a Champion of the Parish. All right. Opponent popping off. We draw a Plains. Well, play the Plains. This is tricky. What do we do now? I think we just get down the Lauren. Blow up the Pithing Needle. Get in with the Esper Sentinel. I mean, they could go exactly like Synthesizer Frogmite, and that would be annoying. Otherwise, the March can deal with the Synthesizer if they do find it. All right, Ornithopter. And all right, Thought Monitor to draw a couple cards. I mean, opponent's still popping off, even without the Synthesizer. 2 cards left in hand. And Spring Leaf Drum taps the Ornithopter. Passes. Amiria's Call. I am scared to give our opponent cards, but we need another creature for this Windbrisk Kites. We need something. Do we just main phase this? Oh, we need a creature to turn this on. Well, let's wait. Let's just play Amiria's Call. Actually, we probably better play the Horizon Canopy. Let's play the Horizon Canopy and just pass the turn. Leave up the March. We have Lauren if we decide to use it, which I'm not sure if we will. We will take it. Oh, wow, this feels bad, but I think we gotta do it. All right, everybody draw. Well, there's a Collector's Cage. That is something. Another Windbrisk Kites. Play the Windbrisk Kites. Do a little hideaway. Take a Amiria's Call. Play a Collector's Cage. Well, okay. Take an Amiria's Call. Pass the turn. The problem is we're still a creature short. If they have Synthesizer, we can pitch Amiria's Call to get rid of it. No attacks for our opponent. Well, I guess we're both drawing again. Yeah, everybody draw. March of Otherworldly Light. Collector's Cage. Put a counter on the Lauren. Actually, it probably makes the most sense to put it on Sentinel. Let's put it on the Sentinel. Well, there's an Adelaide. Uncounterable Adelaide. Make a 1/1. See how our opponent blocks. Collector's Cage. Put a counter on the Esper Sentinel. Amiria's Call for free. You got a counter? Oh, no counter. All right, everything indestructible. 2/4/4 flyers. Collector's Cage. Pay it off. Opponent needs something big this turn or we're going to win this. Not bad, Collector's Cage. Not bad. There's an Urza's Saga. Good card. Perhaps not fast enough at the moment. Opponent. Passing. Well, we will March of Otherworldly Light. Go after the Ornithopter. Oh boy. Well, we will go to combat. We will swing with the crew. Go attacking. Make some dorks. Thalios Lieutenant? Cast it? Grow the dorks? All right, opponent. Let's see what you got. I mean, we got to do this too. And opponent scoops it up. It's working! We had another free Amiria's Call too. Our opponent's deck was sweet. We got to see one of the most ridiculous Outlaws of Thunder Junction draws we've seen in game number 2, where our opponent went off with Simulacrum Synthesizer, but in the end, Collector's Cage, Windbrisk Kites. Still doing it. Still doing it. It is Collector Cage time. Do we keep this hand? Probably not. 3 lands, technically. I mean, we got a little human curve, but we haven't, we're going to mulligan this. We got the Emrakul, which is literally a mulligan. This is actually really good. We will keep this. The question's gonna be, what do we put to the bottom? Probably Solitude? Yeah, let's go Solitude. We're gonna go all in on Collector's Cage shenanigans. Oh, don't Thoughtseize us, please. Not that. Thoughtseize on Amelia's Call probably just beats us. Probably just makes us die. What are you up to? Oh no, that's black. That's black mana. That could be a Thoughtseize. Come on. I mean, I guess we could draw land. This hand in theory can... Oh, okay. Undercity Sewers, sure. Oh no, is this a Goryo's Vengeance deck? Yeah, all right. I don't know how this is gonna go. We do have some okay sideboard cards. Should we be able to get to them in time? Champion of the Parish. We might just be dead though. Like, Atrox in the graveyard on turn 2. That is the power of Surveillance, I guess. Like, the odds of that are not high, but some percentage of the time you surveil into the Atroxa. Well, here comes the scam opponent, pitching a Tainted Indulgence. No white mana, though, for Ephemerate. This might be a one-shot. This might just be clear the way for Atroxa off Goryo's Vengeance. Takes the Alia. Oh, is this just the full-on Surveil Land nut draw? All right, just another Surveil Land, so I guess we're not dead yet. Well, we'll play a Plains, Novice Inspector, Trigger, Warden of the Inner Sky, trigger, scry for an untap land as per Sentinel Bottom. All right, I mean, if we draw an untap land, we could just do the thing next turn. We could just do the Emrakul thing. Tainted Indulgence. That means we're not getting Goryo's Vengeance this turn. Discards a Grizzlebrand. Flooded Strand. Come on, untap land, untap land, untap land, untap land for Collector's Cage. Well, there's a Plains. Well, let's play the Collector's Cage. Emrakul. Sweet mother. Oh my god, we did it. I mean, our opponent could still have interaction. Let's put a counter on the champion. And GG. That's the turn 3 kill. Opponent tried to scam us, tried to vengeance us, but that's the dream. That is the dream. So when I construct a deck and I'm building the deck, I have a plan for it in my head. And when I was building this deck, the reason we're playing humans and playing Champion of the Parish and playing Warden of the Inner Sky, which you don't usually see in Modern, is exactly this. Like, this is the easiest way to, on turn 3, scale your creatures in a way that Collector's Cage can do its thing. This is the first time we've actually seen it do the actual nut draw thing, but that's the draw. Like, we hit the Emrakul with the Collector's Cage. Champion of the Parish grows every creature we play, so it outscales everything else to give us the different powers. And then we turn 3 Emrakul, and our opponent with their Atroxas and their Griefs and their Grizzlebrands. Not enough. I mean, I am still absolutely, completely petrified of this matchup. 1,000,000%. Very, very, very frightened. I don't know if this is good long term. Might need to bring in the Dismembers. Well, I mean, if we just Emrakul on turn 3, I guess life is good no matter what. Life is just good. So Containment Priest is a must. Sanctifier and Vec at least shuts down the reanimation. Dismember could be worth it. What Dismember does is allows us to kill like a Grief in response to a Ephemerate. Let's go down a couple Wardens. Go down an Adeline. Oh, how do we find room? Maybe go down like another Warden, an Adeline. You know what? Let's go down a couple Thalia's Lieutenants. I don't think we can win aggro against this deck very easily, especially on the draw. On the play, maybe, but don't scam us. Well, okay. There is a downside to playing Emrakul in your all one drop deck, which is hands like this. We're gonna mulligan that. Well, this hand actually looks pretty good. We will keep. We're going to put Cavern to the bottom. We're going to try it like this. The risk of this plan is we might not be able to Thalia on turn 2. We'll see what we draw. I mean, we are in the draw, so we should hit our land at some point. Opponent going to do some surveilling. I guess we could lead on the Windbriskites. Goryo's Vengeance, milled. Okay. There's a Dismember. I am a little worried about getting Grief scammed, but I don't think we can just pass here. That's so bad. I guess we just play Windbriskites. If we get scammed, we get scammed. Actually, I think I'd rather have Sanctifier, honestly. Sanctifier's so good against the graveyard. There could be a world where this is better than just adding power. Because the thing is, what does Amelia's Call do if our opponent pops off with an Atroxa? It's not like we're gonna win because we have access to 2 4/4 flyers. Thalia, and hope that protects us. Our opponent milling Goryo's Vengeance makes me think they already have a Goryo's Vengeance in hand. So if this loots into an Atraxa or something, that's pretty bad news. We'd rather have this Sanctifier on the battlefield, honestly. All right, that's a Grizzlebrand. Well, are we dead? Untaps. And Goryo's Vengeance. All right. So opponent gets to hit us, draw a bunch of cards. At least they can't Ephemerate, but they're going to be very set up for next turn. We're going to need a miraculously good draw. Plus, they're going to find a bunch of free spells, right? Kind of like a legacy deck. Yeah. So draws, hits a Grief. Grief gets to cast it for free through the Thalia. Yeah, you can see how the Sanctifier would have been pretty helpful. I honestly don't know if it's worth continuing to play from here. I imagine that our opponent, they can draw 14 more cards. They're going to hit a bunch of Evoke Elementals. They take Champion of the Parish. There's a Solitude, pitching Faithful Mending. Yep. That's going to eat the Thalia. Sure. That's why this deck is busted. Opponent draws a bunch more cards. I'm not convinced Evoke Elementals are healthy for Magic. Who would have thought? Maybe they're not the healthiest. So we need to draw a Sanctifier this turn. Maybe a Containment Priest. I'm not even sure Containment Priest does it. I'm not even sure Sanctifier doesn't, honestly, because of Solitudes. Our opponent just drew half their deck. Like, they have 33 cards left, so you know their hand is going to be set up to do the thing next turn. So there's no way that just, like, playing fair cards is going to give us a shot here. Well, Collector's Cage. I guess we're going to be playing fair cards anyway. Do a little hiding away. We'll take a Miria's Call, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think this game's just over. Windbrisk Kites. Yeah, this deck's pretty busted. Take a Solitude, pass the turn. There is an Atraxa in the graveyard now. I mean, I just imagine they drew into another Goryo's Vengeance, and this time the Ephemerate. If they have the Vengeance, we're gonna... Alright, yep, I mean, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, this deck's busted. Alright, on to game 3. Game 1 was so good. You might be thinking, what about Curse Totem? It's not worth it. Grizzlebrand's like a backup plan. Sometimes even side it out, like it's that bad. Well, on to game 3. Can we miraculously take down arguably the best deck in Modern? It's on the short list of best decks in Modern, that's for sure. I mean, that's a bunch of Collector's Cages. We're gonna keep it. We came here to Collector's Cage, and Collector's Cage we will. This Solitude could have some value. We do not have just like, none of our I win sideboard cards, but play a Plains, play a Novice Inspector. Get the clue. Pass the turn. Well, even if we end up dying to this silly Goryo's Vengeance deck, at least we got the turn 3 kill. Who's the real winner? The person who won the match or the person who turn 3'd an Emrakul off a Collector's Cage? If you surveil a Atraxa here, I swear. All right, just a land. We draw another Solitude, well, Cavern on Human, and I think we're best off pressuring this turn. Get down Thalia's Lieutenant. Counter on the Inspector, go to combat. There is a world where next turn we could theoretically do the Collector Cage thing if we draw a untap land. Thanks to Solitude, we can evoke the Solitude to get the creature, the third creature, going to Grief, pitching a Tainted Indulgence. I mean, I think we have to let this go. If our opponent tries to Ephemerate it, we will have to Solitude. Very redundant hand. All right, takes a Solitude. All right, Grief just goes away. Faithful Mending. Wow. All right, untap land. Untap land, Emrakul under the cage. That's the win. We do need two things to happen. Would also settle for like a Sanctifier would be fine. All right, Goryo's Vengeance discarded. Undercity Sewers discarded. Passing. Well, untap land first step. No, another cage. Well, we'll play the cage. We didn't hit anything anyway. We will take a Thalia's Lieutenant. Untaps. So we would once again like an untap land. Prismatic Ending on the Thalia's Lieutenant. Okay. And a land. Well, now we need another creature for sure. Opponent, not very pretentious. A main phase fetcher. Come on. All right, leaves it on top. Well, that might not be good. Opponent passes. We draw. Well, there's an untap land. I'll play Cavern on Human. We could just draw with the clue. Could play another cage, but we need creatures. Yeah, let's crack the clue. All right, we draw an Inspector. That is a creature. Go to combat, hit you with the Inspector. All right, no whammies here, opponent. Nothing big. Just settle down. All right, well, there goes our board. Amiria's Call, that's a ways away from being good. Well, 1 and 2. Crack the clue. play Windbriskites, Hideaway, and Amiria's Call. Pass the turn. I mean, we just don't have any creatures on the battlefield. I feel like this is one of those games where the longer it goes on, the more it favors our opponent. Gonna pass. Well, there's a champion of the perished. Let's play Amiria's Call. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just pass and Solitude. Wow, opponent didn't do anything. Interesting, didn't even Faithful Mending. Passing. I mean, I think we just run out the Solitude still. A little bit risky, but this is the highest upside line, right? Yeah, let's Solitude. Opponent's going to Subtlety. Well, we'll put it on top. And let's 1-2. Play a Collector's Cage. Hideaway. Another Amiria's Call. Play a Champion of the Perished. And pass the turn. We have not hit anything good for these Collector's Cages. I mean, the Amiria's Call is not like the end of the world, but it's not great. Going to Grief. Yeah, well, we gotta let that go, unfortunately. Takes the Solitude. Plays a land. Well, we need bodies. We need bodies badly. Well, let's... Uh-oh, opponent's cracking. That's the thing about this Esper deck. It can get the, like, free turn 2 wins, and then it can also just play, like, a control deck. And it's pretty effective either way. Well, let's put a counter on the champion. Put a counter on the champion. Draw a Mutavault, which I guess as far as lands go, that is one of the better lands we could draw. Another Collector's Cage. Well, we'll take a Thalia. Where are all of our Emrakuls? This is ridiculous. Well, get in with the champion of the perished. Opponent's gonna block. Well, we will put a counter on it. I mean, the cages are still doing work as a mana sink here. We've, like, majorly flooded out, but being able to just keep adding counters to things is giving us something to do at least. Oh, are we dead? We might be dead. Well, okay, just an archaeologist. So no Atrox in the graveyard. Another archaeologist. Okay, this is not good. There's Grizzlebrand and Grizzlebrand. One card in hand. Opponent. No attacks. Well, this would be a nice turn to draw a creature. Counter on the champion. Counter on the champion. Untap. Come on, deck. Oh, dear God. Fire up the Mutavault. Yeah, that's an unfortunate time to draw land. Go to combat. Do some attacking. Well, counter on the Mutavault. And counter on the Mutavault. And counter on the Mutavault. I mean, the cages are still doing work here as we flood out. All right, hit you for 5. All right, opponent's last card is Ephemerate. If this mills into a Goryo's Vengeance, okay, they get a Faithful Mending or a Tainted Indulgence. Yeah, we really needed a creature here because it would have turned on all of these Collector's Cages. It would have turned on every single one, but instead we draw another land. Well, there's all the creatures that we desperately needed. Pass the turn. Yeah, I think we're gonna end up just short of the 4-1 here. So close, opponent. Yeah, I mean, with another archaeologist here, the odds of our opponent finding what they need is pretty high. So here's the Ephemerate, blinks the archaeologist, mills. Well, I mean, even that's pretty bad. They get a prismatic ending that can kill the champion of the perished. So that puts us super far away. Yeah, we just drew a few too many lands this game. Last turn was the turn. Last turn was the turn where we could have done it. Last turn was the turn where we could have done it. We just did not find it. Found it. Tainted Indulgence. And now I think it's slipped away because we need multiple creatures. I mean, I guess that is the downside of all of our hideaway stuff is we do need multiple bodies on the battlefield. Opponent. We draw. That's actually intriguing, depending on what our opponent has. Then we fire up the Mutavault. We do need our opponent not to have removal. What did they put in hand? It was Tainted Indulgence. Well, I mean, we gotta go for it. Fire up the Mutavault. Attack. Make a 1/1, which most importantly turns on our other effects. Collector's Cage. Adeline. Actually, so I think we do it this way. I think we Collector's Cage for the Thalia's Lieutenant. Put a counter on the human. Cast the Thalia's Lieutenant. Grow the Dorks. Oh, I wish we had it. Oh, if only we had hit an Emrakul. Do we just cast the other one too? Counter. Amiria's Call. Well, all right. This is what we got. Another Ephemerate. All right, let's go. Well, this is it. This is the game. Draw some cards. So they can't get us with Supreme Verdict. They can't activate Grizzlebrand. The other thing is, if we get to attack next turn, we do have the Emrakul under the Windbriskites. But if our opponent can do the Troxa Yorio's Vengeance thing, and then start blinking Solitudes, that does get around indestructible. I do not see an Atrox in the graveyard, though. Are we gonna win this? Is there a shot? Opponent's back up to 8. Yorio's Vengeance on Grizzlebrand. Oh, I guess this is opponent gained just enough life that they can draw and go to 1. Well, I mean, we are going to double block the Grizzlebrand with the Angels. Opponent can draw right now and go to 1. Grizzlebrand goes away. Goes back up to 8. Got a new hand. Does the new hand beat us? 2 mana available, but they have a lot of free spells. Solitude Ephemera is the thing that I'm most scared of. That's the thing that most obviously wrecks us. And there's a lot left in the deck, presumably. This would be a pretty impressive win. Oh, they're thinking, oh, I'm so scared. I'm so afraid. They only got 12 cards in their deck. The odds of having an Ephemerate and a Solitude seem kind of high. Does Ephemerate Solitude beat us? By itself, no. It would exile 2 things? Ephemerate double Solitude, or Solitude double Ephemerate. That definitely beats us. Prismatic Ending, going after the token. Okay. And passes? I mean, if they let us attack, though, with 3 creatures, then we trigger our Emrakul. Also, this Thalia is kind of relevant. Let's fire up the Mutavault. If our opponent Solitudes, okay, so there's a Solitude. So with the Solitude on the stack, activate Collector's Cage to put a counter on Thalia's Lieutenant and cast a Thalia, which means our opponent can't Ephemerate it. And I think that lets us win. Wow, Collector's Cage is so good. Oh! Opponent said GG's! An opponent gives us a GG's, says, that was sick, hope it makes for good content. Well played. That is the 4-1. We didn't get the 5-0. We got the 4-1 though. We got the 4-1, a bunch of treasure chests to open, and that was spectacular. That last game was, I think, that last match was the testament to what this deck can do. That was it. That was the one that really showed what the deck could do. Not only did we get we're going to open these treasure chests. Not only did we get the turn 3 kill, which is something we've been wanting with the Emrakul Nut Draw, that last game really showed the power of Collector Cage when we're not doing that. Like, just, we flooded out, being able to put counters on our creatures was massive. And then in the end, it was a Thalia Guardian of Thraben off the Collector's Cage at instant speed, which won us the game. If they were able to start blinking the Solitude with the Ephemerate, I don't think we would have been able to win there. So in the end, the random 2-drop Thalia of all things off the Collector's Cage was enough to swing the game in our favor. So this deck is sweet. Well, let's open up our treasure chest. We get, oh, sealed. Did I just add a Warhammer? Oh, I removed a card from the deck. All right, where are our treasure chests? Do we not have treasure chests? Oh, they changed something. So they're not under sealed products anymore? What are they under? How do I find trophies, tokens, tickets, sealed products? Wow, that must just be a bug. All right, well, we got some treasure chests open. I guess we can open these reward packs too, might as well. I did get the Warhammer decks. I haven't even opened them yet, but I did break down and get them. What do we get here? Gleaming Gear Drake did do. So these are player reward packs. Not usually, they're not high value. They're mostly, I think they're all common and uncommons from recent sets, but sometimes they're like the special versions. You get like old borders and stuff. Right now they look pretty janky though. This looks like just Murders at Karlov Manor showcase cards, the lower rarity ones. And I don't think any of those are actually meaningful. I don't even know why we're opening them. What is the point of opening these? Maybe we should save them up for the next update. All right, well, okay, let's open the real payoffs. 5 treasure chests for our 4-1. Chest number 1, we get, well, I mean, how can we complain? The chest has 0 ticks worth of value, including a Spectral Shift. My God, what a bad card. But, we got a Siege Rhino, so that's fun. We got a Rhino at least. Chest number 2, we get Colossal Rattleworm. I feel like this card's good. I feel like this card's gotta be good. Not valuable though. Number 3, not valuable yet. Maybe it'll power creep its way to value. Rugrin Triome, Shield of Cauldra for a Tomer and a Fauna Shaman. Is a Triome worth anything? I feel like it's probably not on Moto. Rugrin Triome, it's like 1.6 tick, so $1.50 or something. That's one of the nice things about Moto is the cards are cheap. Ooh. Plantier of Ornithank, special treatment. I don't know if that's worth anything. I do occasionally see people play it. No, it is worth roughly 0 ticks. Baneslayer, 15 years ago would be a hit. Timbermare. Well, one last shot. So far we got no value out of these treasure chests. How about a Invasion of Ravnica, Fabled Passage, Temple of Epiphany? Well, the treasure chests weren't great, but at least the deck was pretty great. That's a win. But we can talk about that in the wrap up. Be right back. So what did we learn this week about Mono White Hideaway in Modern? And overall, we went 4-1 in our league, which is a pretty good record. And we played against a lot of the best decks in the format, and the deck managed to keep up with them. So I gotta say, Collector's Cage might actually just kind of be busted. So obviously, when I cast an Emrakul on turn 3, it is kind of busted and we just win the game. But what really impressed me about Collector's Cage is it doesn't need to be doing that to be good. We saw it be good just as a mana sink, like we flood out and it's a way we can just like do something when we have nothing else to do with our mana. We saw it be really good casting Amiria's Calls or Solitudes. We saw it win the game by casting Athalia in response to that Solitude, so our opponent couldn't ephemerate it. So that got me thinking, maybe we don't even need Emrakul. Obviously, like, the dream nut draw, it's so sweet when it works out. But I was thinking, Collector's Cage, maybe it's, like, not that good of a card, and it needs something really powerful to support it. But after playing with this deck a bunch, now I think Collector's Cage is just, like, a busted card, and maybe it's fine if we're just casting Adalines and Amiria's Calls and Thalia's Lieutenants, and we don't even need to play, like, an uncastable Emrakul in the deck. So Collector's Cage really impressed me. This card, I think, is really good. And remember, we're playing Modern. If this is popping off like this in Modern, a really powerful, fast format full of like free interaction, I imagine this card has got to be good in Standard. It's got to be good in Pioneer or like Historic on Arena. So all around Collector's Cage, if you haven't tried playing with it yet, give the card a shot because it is way stronger than you probably think. So anyway, that's Mono White Hideaway. That's been our Much Brew for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.